Hey guys, how are you? Hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing a review of a comedy from Norway. This is spoken in the Norwegian and Swedish language with English subtitles, released in the year 2003, directed by Bent Hammer, and this film is called Kitchen Stories. And the story to Kitchen Stories is as follows. A Swedish researcher strikes up an unlikely friendship with a cranky Norwegian farmer in this quirky, thoughtful and bittersweet comedy that captured audiences' hearts around the world. Both warm and witty, Kitchen Stories is a deadpan, thoroughly delightful comedy that cooks up tasty laughs. It's the 1950s, and a Swedish efficiency expert under strict orders not to interact with his subject is sent to improve a Norwegian farmer's culinary efforts. But the sly old farmer much prefers to amuse himself by impeding the timid researcher's work. Soon, in the struggle between neutral observation and the need for human interaction, the kitchen becomes a battleground. So the movie is set in the 1950s, after the war. You've got this Swedish culinary sort of research firm that want to conduct experiments on farming sort of culinary efforts. So basically what they do, they go to these lonely test sort of guinea pigs, which basically consists of farmers. And so everybody knows in this era that the women are very dominant in the kitchen, but what they want to do is see how they can improve the lonely farmers aspect in the kitchen. So basically how they treat their kitchen, what they do, these people who are sent to do the research have to sit in this chair. They're not allowed to interact with the subject matter, and basically what they've got to do is take notes, deliver them back to their boss, and that's how they're going to basically see what it's like. So this particular researcher, he goes to this very cranky Norwegian's house. He goes inside, he sits up on his seat, and he finds it very hard not to interact with this guy. And basically, what he first thought about this Norwegian guy may not be how it actually is. So a very unlikely friendship starts to blossom between these two, and in the meantime, this guy's boss is starting to catch on to this. So if he's found out, he's going to be fired. So whether or not this friendship can blossom and last is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I am going with my synopsis. Now, my thoughts on this film. This is a very unique movie, and for that reason I would say go out there and see it. But having said that, it is for a very acquired taste. Now, Bent Hammer, his other film, O'Horton, that was a really deadpan comedy. So if you're not into that style of, the subgenre in comedy of deadpan, you're not going to appreciate it. Now, it's not a movie that has slapstick. It's not a movie that's going to punch you in the face with laughing material. It's a movie that's very, very realistic. And the funniness comes from the basically expressionless faces of these characters. And so it is a very different style of humour, and Bent Hammer does it very well. Now, I don't think this is as good as O'Horton, because I thought O'Horton was funnier, but this movie has a strong sweetness to it. Now, what I mean by that is that specific directors have a sense of an emotion. So, as for example, you've got Gaspar Noé, who is a very dark director. It seems like he captures everything that is wrong with humanity, and that although something disturbing isn't happening, you still feel really disturbed because it has that dreaded sense that nothing is ever going to get better. So he takes everything that is negative and he just magnifies it all over the screen, and you just can't help but feel depressed watching his work. Now, I think he's an absolute genius as far as filmmaking is concerned, and it's not every day that these type of directors come along. So you've got Gaspar Noé, you've got Pascal Leguer, who made Martyrs, and to a lesser extent he made The Tall Man, which wasn't as good, but it still had that morbid feeling that it was really tense, and that it's something very negative, very depressing, was always around the corner. So they capture a certain aspect of humanity, and not a lot of directors do that, and Bent Hammer certainly does it. But what makes him different is that he captures the other side of humanity. He captures everything that is good about it. So when these bad things are happening to these characters in this film, you always sense that something good is going to come out of it, that he's capturing the bright side of life, and that you're not going to be feeling negative, and that, as I said, in these Gaspar Noé films, when something good is happening, you always feel that something bad is going to combat that. But in this film, when something bad happens, you think that it's going to be combated by something really good. So the depressing aspect of this film doesn't feel as depressing as it could have been, because Bent Hammer has this very unique way of contributing to a very positive outcome. And that's what the movie has going for it. So although it wasn't as funny as I'd hoping it would be, it was still made worthwhile because it's just one of those experiences that will get you into a good mood. It is a movie about friendship. It's a movie about not judging someone based on what you see on face value. It's something about if you get to know someone, it's basically impossible not to talk to them. And I think it's healthy to be able to talk to them. And this is exactly what this main character, this is exactly what happens. As soon as he starts to know this guy who he first dismissed as cranky, he begins to form this friendship. And it's a movie about friendship having no, basically not being constrained. It's not being, restricted. It's something that has to come out. And that's the beauty of the film, is that it starts off as a very cold experience, but then it just blossoms into something really warm. So the acting was absolutely fantastic. I haven't heard of these actors before, but I thought the guy who was the researcher was just phenomenal. And it was based on subtleties. It wasn't in your face. It didn't feel like it was straining. It didn't feel like it was forcing its opinion upon you. It felt very natural, and therefore I felt that it works. And it's not trying to make you feel really good. It just does that by itself. And Bent Hammer is a master of doing that. So it's a very deadpan comedy film. I thought it was a very beautiful looking film. He captured a very isolated existence. But as I said, the depressing elements of the film are never really made that depressing, because, as I said, it is just a very positive outlook on life. So you're never really feeling the doom and gloom that this main character and his friend, his newfound friend, are feeling. Then you've got the boss, who was basically the villain of the film. I thought he was really funny, especially in this little rant that he goes on about having to drive on the other side of the road and how sick it makes him feel. I thought that was a really funny way to open it. I thought the villain of the film, although he was very stubborn, I thought he was likable. He still had that likable quality, and once again, it's Bent Hammer finding positives in these negative people. So I just thought it was a very heartwarming experience. My only negative of the film is that it does drag in little parts, but fortunately it's just that very feel-good atmosphere that Bent Hammer has created is what makes it worth it. So if you've been in a really bad mood, then Kitchen Stories is definitely going to get you out of that rut. As I said, not as good as O'Horton, but it's still a film that I would highly recommend. It's a very unusual experience, a story about a guy doing research on another guy's kitchen habits. It's not something you come across every day. I'm sure that a lot of people might not get anything out of this, but it's for a very acquired taste. If you like Scandinavian humour and you like humour of a much different kind, then Kitchen Stories is definitely one I would check out. As I said, I would have liked it to be a little bit funnier, but it really is a very, very charming film, and it's another one of Bent Hammer's that has delivered. So overall, for Kitchen Stories, I'm going to give it 4 stars, and it's going to come highly recommended. Alright guys, it's my review. I hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.